Hello, everybody. Welcome. I'm so excited you're here today. I'm Stacy Hyland of Add a Zero Without the Hustle. I'm so excited to have my friend, client, and best-selling author Jane Ubel-Meyer with us here today. Hey, Jane.
Hi, Stacy. Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
I am so excited. I want to give people a little bit of background because you have built you've built
Okay.
$2 million businesses.
Yep.
So you've done bedside reading, which is amazing for authors and thought leaders to help them get in front of more readers. And then
Yes.
you've just written this book from wanting to having it, which is absolutely fabulous book. I read it. I have it here on my iPad. We're backwards
Right.
on the
And I
screen.
have it
So
here
from
in
wanting to
person.
having it
Okay. I don't even
in
know how the
physical
camera works, but
form.
there you
I
go.
know, it's so
Okay.
exciting. So the thing is that Jane has manifested so many things in her life. So what she's done is put her incredible non-freaking negotiable method into this book, and she's sharing it with everybody. So I want to really talk to you today about how this can help small business owners, help people attract more clients, how like you've even, manifested your amazing husband. So
I
we want to
did.
talk about this today. So why don't you give me a little bit of background about what made you decide to write this book?
So, first of all, thank you for having me again. So, I'm in the book marketing world. I've been doing this. This is my seventh anniversary. And
Wow.
I have been working with so many authors. And one of the things that I was missing from my world was really an insider's knowledge of publishing. So I jumped into an online course on publishing and going through it's an online course, so you do it as you can. And one of the assignments was to write a book in 7 days and then publish it. So I was thinking, what am I going to write about? And one of the things that you have to do in the book before you write the book is to find proof of concept. So they give you lots of tools on how to do that in this course. So one of the things that kept coming up for me was manifesting. Now, years ago, like literally probably 2006, 7, a couple of things started happening in my life, and I actually wrote them down, and I tucked it away as an idea for a book, and I threw it into a folder, and I went, you know what, 7 days to write a book. Let me dig this out. So I did this as an assignment for my class. So I dug it out and I looked at what I had and I went, okay, this is like 10 pages. It's not really going to make the grade. I had to do, I think, 5,000 words or more. So I, read through it, and then I started putting it in. I used actually ChatGPT to create an outline of the book, putting in what I had. I created an outline, and then having the outline was a really great guide to writing the book. Now, all the book is written by me because these are my stories. This is not written by AI. So, but these stories I know. So what I did was I actually recorded the stories. You know how you can create a Word doc? You press the
Yes.
microphone, and then I recorded my little stories. Then I went back and I, edited a little bit. I probably should edit it more, but I didn't. And I did this all in 7 days. I mean, I really did. I did mark off 2 hours every morning between 8 and 10 every day for 7 days and did it. So that's really how
Yeah,
this
and
sort
that's
of came about.
I love it that you had it and it was like stewing there for all this time because you have so
Yes.
many amazing stories from how you produced a movie, which I remember seeing that movie on TV after it was made with Leona Helmsley.
Right. It was called Leona
When I
Helmsley, the
was
Queen of
reading the book.
Maine. Right.
Yes, yes, that was like a killer movie. Like it
It
was
was a
amazing.
it
And
was one of the best experiences of my life, my professional life, because the way it all happened, and I learned so much about manifesting through the process.
yeah,
So
and
yeah.
that story is in the book that walks you through how that came about. And I think one of the things that really struck me is that you're fearless, right? That you're not afraid to say the things that you need to say to get the results you want. So it's not just about the mindset, but it's also like it has to actually come out your mouth. And as we say in metaphysical, like treat and move your feet. Like you can't just think it; you have to actually do it. So
So I just want to say something about that. So growing up, after college, I got a job at Good Morning America, and I was in TV for 20 plus years. And when you are a TV producer, you have to get stuff done immediately. If you're especially a live TV show like Good Morning America, or I started Regis. I worked for Tom
Regis
Snyder,
Philbin,
Regis
yeah,
Philbin. But I started these shows, or I worked on these shows. And when you work on a live TV show, you have to get stuff done. You can't procrastinate. And one of the things I learned as being a TV producer is, first of all, A, you have to get it done. B, if you don't ask, it won't happen. And C, if you don't ask, then you're stuck in a place that it's painful. So I learned these things actually throughout my life about, if you don't do it today, you'll be sorry tomorrow. I know it's a cliche, but I learned that at actually 6 or 7 years old. And it's been one
wow.
of those mantras in my brain. If you don't do it today, you will be sorry tomorrow. So let's say you're in a coffee shop and you see a celebrity, or you see somebody in business that you want to talk to, if you let your fear control that, then that person leaves the coffee shop, you've lost your opportunity. So if you don't do it today, you will be sorry in the morning. So you don't want to have any regrets in the morning. But I digress. Sorry.
No, and I think that's an important thing, because I think a lot of times opportunities come our way and they just kind of float in, and you're like, oh, am I ready? Am I not ready? And if you wait till you're ready, it like floats away and you missed it. Um, so let's talk about the concept that you talk about, like the title of the book, from wanting it to having it, because
Okay.
I think a lot of times people are stuck in that wantingness, and you talk about this very clearly in the book.
So here's how I feel. I can remember when I was like 24 years old, and I had this boyfriend, and I knew this was the guy for me. And we were dating, and, long story short, he broke up with me. I wanted this guy. I knew this was my husband. I wanted him so much that I spent 16 years exhausting myself from wanting him. How exhausting is it to want something? So if you want something and it's draining you, and I only wanted to marry him, I dated a lot of guys. Somebody proposed to me, and I would never do that. Not wrong guy. Clearly, he was the wrong guy. But I was so exhausted myself from wanting that one day I was 40 years old, and I said, okay, I live in LA. The guy's married, living in New York with kids. I'm going to let it go. It's like enough already. And so I really took some time. I got into this space where I just let it go, and I let go of wanting him. And it was hard, not easy. You will not believe this. 2 weeks after I let him go, I let go of wanting him. I said, it's not going to happen. I'm okay with it. I'm moving on. I might be single the rest of my life, and that's going to be okay for me. I really came to a good place about it. 2 weeks later, the guy called me out of the blue, and we're now celebrating our 23rd wedding anniversary in September 16th. We're together 28 years, and I literally had to let him go and let the wanting of him go. It was just so exhausting and draining that there was no space to having it.
Yeah.
Because wanting is exhausting. Wanting, if you want something, it tells me you don't have it. And if you can let go of the concept of struggling, of wanting, and even if you have to pretend that you have something. Just pretend. Once you have it, it's so easy. Even if it's like whatever it is. What if you wanted a Maserati or something crazy, right? Not that that's crazy, but a lot of people have them. So if you want it, pretend that you have it. Go feel the feelings. Go to the car dealership. Take a test drive. Go look at the ads for used ones, new ones, whatever. Feel the feelings of it, but let go of wanting and pretend that you have it. And then part of my process is to take baby steps. It doesn't have to be basic action steps every single day to getting that which you already have, because you're pretending now that you have it. Take action steps to bringing that into this dimension. So I'm going to stop right now. I want to share something that has occurred to me since I wrote this book August 5th, or put it out there.
Oh, we're getting the insider secrets here.
Here's a couple things that I've been thinking about. We don't really know if, well, there are quantum physics theories are out there that there's a continuum of time, that the past, the present, and the future are all happening at the same time. We don't really know if that's true. It might be true, it might not be true, but we don't really know. And I was thinking, maybe the fact that I wanted Rick, this guy that I married, maybe the future was able to like jump into my consciousness, and it made me desire to want him. It triggered that wantingness. So maybe the things that come into your consciousness of wanting something, maybe you just really already have it in another dimension in the future. So if you think about it, that you really already have it, it makes it so much easier to bring into your present. If that makes any sense at all.
In the book, yeah, it's.
I don't even know if I discussed that. Do I discuss that?
Right. Well, it's not. It's hard to explain that because it's kind of like a car engine. I know it works, but I don't know how the car engine works. You did touch upon it in the book when you talk about your 14-year-old self, right?
Yes,
and you said
I did.
The 14-year. When you know what struck me? I have chills right now. When you said that you had the reading glasses hanging around the cord by your neck.
Okay.
That part was like, I got chills when I read that.
Okay, so let me tell the story. Let me tell the story. Now I'm going to tell all these stories, so you don't even have to go buy the book, but go buy the book. It's $2.99 and it's easy sale. It's easy thing. So when I was 14 years old, I lived in Great Neck, New York, and I remember I had this cute bedroom. I remember lying in bed and I went, I'm going to be flying first class from New York to LA with film scripts at my feet and reading glasses dangling on my neck. Now I'm 14 years old. What does that have to do with my life? I went to movies. We all watch TV. We went to movies, whatever, but I had nothing to do with the movie industry at all. When I was 14 years old, does that vision, was that a glimpse of my future? Or did I make that up? I now look back and I think maybe I was able to kind of get a little sliver of a glimpse of my future, because I did end up flying from New York to LA. And ironically, I didn't even put this in the book. I did make a movie called Leona Helmsley, the Queen of Mean, but the guy that gave me the book to read, he was in New York. And I was in LA at the time. So I did end up going back and forth to New York, LA, the Cannes Film Festival with scripts at my feet. So that did happen. And here's the weirdest thing. I did build another business called Madison and Mulholland. We were the #1 celebrity gifting business in the world at the time. And one of my clients was United Airlines, and we created gift bags of books and products that would be placed on first and business class passengers going from New York to LA, and New York, San Francisco, New York, Japan, New York, Heathrow, etc. And one day I was on a flight in business class, not first, but business. And I had left my reading. I had just gotten reading glasses. I was 40 years old, and my first pair of reading glasses, they were kind of cool. I freaking left them at the counter at UA. So I said to the flight attendant, "Do you have reading glasses?" Because I was wearing my contact lenses. And she goes, "No." And I went, "Oh my God, what a great idea. I should actually create reading glasses and sell them on United Airlines." And so I went, when I got to LA, I created this beautiful spreadsheet. I made some calls and I actually sent this spreadsheet to my contact at United Airlines. And I said, "I have an idea. What about we do this? And if you do this, you'd make $2-3 million over the course of like 6 months." And he goes, "Yes." And I got a contract with United Airlines immediately to sell reading glasses from on the international airlines, which I ended up selling through another company. And we sold it to Iberia Airlines, United, US Air, which I think is gone by now, but many airlines. So that vision when I was 14 years old actually came true. Not in the way I thought it would be, but I was a producer. I did fly New York, LA. I did have scripts. I was a movie producer. And I ended up selling reading glasses on airlines. Like, how crazy is that? So was that image, when I was 14, I remember lying in bed in Great Neck. Did that come from my future? Was that like a little teeny sliver from the future triggering my brain to want that? So take it a step further. Let's say you are, let me tell you what else happened. This is weird. I just remember this. I should write this down. Rick, my husband and I went to an event he went to University of Pennsylvania, and we went to an event for the president of the university. It was like a fundraiser or something. And we were sitting next to a couple, and they're still friends of ours. And I said, "Where do you live?" And they lived on a street called Old Farm Road. And as soon as I heard it, I went, "Oh, I live on Old Farm Road." The next day, just by coincidence, I'm passing down the road and I see the sign, Old Farm Road. It was actually Old Farm Road South. And you won't believe it. Just because of circumstances, we moved there like within a month.
Wow.
Like, that is something. Now, wasn't something that I wanted, but I love the name. And I thought, how cool is this? I'm going to live there. And then I did. And we moved. So that's kind of weird. But
there's so many signs. It's funny because we just moved last year after being in the same place for 23 years. Right. And me and my husband, I manifested him around the same time as you and Rick. And the thing was, there were a lot of signs as we went to move, and I'm seeing them in my Facebook memories. Like I saw pictures of like going home, and it was like literally the mountain near where I live, like a picture of it, like from years ago. So it's just wild that, we ended up somewhere 2.5 hours away, but there were all these signs as I'm seeing them in retrospect now through Facebook. That. Yeah, it's really fun to see. So one of the things that you said was about the daily action. So can you talk a little bit, because me, I'm all about like putting stuff into action that people can leave with usable stuff.
So I'm going to go to, I'm in the middle, actually, I almost finished reading this book called Atomic Habits. Everybody should read it. It's great.
Mm-hmm. It's a great book.
And one of the things that the author says is to create like micro shifts, tiny little action steps or moves to change habits. And in my book, I absolutely believe that if you quote unquote want something and then you're going to pretend that you have it, you have to take action steps. So what is an action step? I tell this funny story. This is so unbelievable that I was teaching this course. It was supposed to be the art of the goodie bag at FIT in New York City, but I was teaching what I wanted to teach, which is about how to get a job after college, because this is what the kids really needed to learn about.
Right.
So one of the things I was teaching was my NFN, how to manifest anything. And so we went around the room, and one young lady said, "I just want this 911 Porsche, a car." I went, "Okay, fine." So I said, let's everybody do this as an exercise. So we went through this exercise and I said, let's talk about action steps. So action steps are, what can you do to bring about that which you already have, right? So you can look in those days. It was you have the New York Times. You have you still have the New York Times. You can do the car section, buying and selling cars. You can go to a Porsche dealership. You can look in magazines. You can go to the Porsche design store. You can do all these things that surround you with the energy of the car that you want.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going through this, and everybody came up with cool ideas of action steps, and it was really fun, fantastic. The next morning, I had to fly to LA to do. We were doing a gift bag event for an award show. I walk in, and who's the sponsor? Porsche. And I walk in, and the guy from Porsche says, "Jane, I'm so glad to meet you. Here, let me give you your Porsche." And he gives me a keychain with the Porsche emblem on it, logo on it. And I was hysterical laughing. And I said, this is so weird that we were talking about manifesting getting a Porsche, and the guy just gave me the keys to a Porsche. It wasn't really the keys,
The
it was a
universe,
keychain.
right? Well, the universe was really responding to it, and it's funny because when I met my husband, I had written a list of everything I wanted, right? And that was, I had been in that wanting stage, and I joke that I got all the things on the list because I even said I wanted to live north and east of Philadelphia, where I was living at the time, and I just said I just overshot that north by quite a few hours, right? And so, but I did end up closer to New Hampshire, which is what the goal was. So being really specific about how you want it. But I love the daily actions that you put in the book, and I think it's fun to play in that energy, right? To go, look at the Porsche, to sit in it even at the dealer, to
drive it,
on
do a
your vision board.
test drive it, babe. I mean, that's it. I mean, I'm working on. So here's what I've learned from this other book, this book of me, Atomic Habits, is that it's not the goal, it's the process. So if you feel that you already have it, now let's talk about the feeling. This is like a really critical point. So when you want something really, really want it, the idea of having it has to be non-freaking-negotiable, because there are parts of ourselves, like little Janie or little Stacy, they're going to sabotage us, because that's what they do. They go, Jane, you're not smart enough, you're not pretty enough, you're not this enough, blah, 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 blah. And we have to take that little person, develop radar that little voice is not really real. It's little. And we say to little Janie or Stacy, thank you for sharing. We're going to go play another time. And you do have to play. You have to do something fun with that little. You could do whatever you want to do. But you have to acknowledge, thanks for sharing, but we're going to play later. So you get that negativity voice out of you. We also have to remind ourselves that there are external negativity like triggers. Sometimes they're people that will put you down. Sometimes they will be society. Sometimes they'll be whatever they are going to be. But there are more people than not will be incredible triggers of negativity. And you have to develop that awareness to say, hey, not allowed, because it's non-freaking-negotiable that I have what I have. And if you're going to be around me, you just can't be that way. So what I did is I created a boundary. And that boundary is, if somebody doesn't love me or respect me, they are not in my world. That's number one. Number two, when I hear something negative, I have to remind myself that it's their little that's kind of verbalizing itself. It's not me. It's not about me. It's their little that's being negative, and their little being insecure, and that their little being threatened or challenged or jealous or whatever they are. It's not you, it's them. So when somebody says can't be done, I say to them, don't ever say that to me. Not even, like, I had a business partner, you can read about this in the book when I made this movie, who said, after 2 weeks of calling 36 different production companies and pitching the movie, Leona Helmsley, The Queen of Mean, and he said, oh, drop it already. It's never going to happen. And I basically said, the F word, don't ever say that to me again. It's already happened in my brain. It's non-freaking-negotiable. Don't ever talk to me that way again. I was like so angry that I picked up the phone, and the next call I made a deal. So
that story just was like, and like giving up after 2 weeks. I mean, that's the small
the
self,
guy
right?
was an idiot. Not that he was an idiot.
Right?
The guy was small-minded, and it's okay. That's who he is. But he was the wrong business partner for me. Clearly.
But you got it done. And I think this is important because in the book you call it radar, right? And so one of the things with the tiny habits is to kind of have a trigger, right? So I love the fact that you call it radar so that you can kind of visualize that in your mind of like,
it's like beep, beep, beep,
like
beep, beep.
Yeah, right. Like a submarine, and it's going out and it's like, it's running, it's pinging against something. And that ping, it's like, am I going to accept that ping back off of that other enemy submarine?
Right.
Or is it like a friendly that I can accept that in? So I like the idea of visualizing it as a radar and putting up our boundaries or shields. Like, you're going to dive the submarine to get away from them, or you're going to be like, oh, we can come up top. So I thought that was a really good visual.
I want to tell you something really funny that's kind of happening to me right now in my life. There's a great, great, great story. It's a long story, but I find it fabulous story about how I read this book, and after I finished reading it at 4:30 in the morning, I woke up my husband. I go, oh my God, I love this guy who wrote the book. He's me, I'm him. And it's Richard Branson's book, Losing My Virginity. And I said to him out loud at 4:30 in the morning, Richard Branson's going to call me. And I remember at 4:30 in the morning saying it, but I felt like it had already happened. And the very next morning, somebody out of the blue, who I don't even know, said, it's a long story, but what can I do for you? And I joked, why don't you have Richard Branson call me? He goes, oh, not a problem, because I used to be his assistant. And my friend is his assistant when he comes to New York, etc. Anyway, the long story is it took a long time for Richard Branson to call me. And what I realized, what?
I wouldn't say that it's a long time, considering how he's one of the billionaires that's most popular in the world. Okay. That is like really, so people are spending decades trying to get in touch with him.
Right. Okay. And I worked with him twice, and I have pictures to prove it, actually. And I know you don't have this, but here's a picture of me from the.
Oh
yeah. Yeah. There he is. There's me.
So cute.
Okay. Anyway, so here's the thing. What I realized was that the process of manifesting Richard Branson calling me, the process was the gift. It wasn't the end result. The goal, getting Richard Branson to call me, was not it was amazing. Trust me, nothing like that. But it was the process of manifesting this that taught me, that put all of these experiences together to understand that my NFN method was really working. That it was the trigger for me to understand, oh my God, I already felt that it already happened. I took the action steps. I never let up. Nobody said I was an idiot. And if they did, I didn't hear them because I didn't hear that. And all of a sudden, and of course, when it happened, and in fact, when it happened, he didn't call me himself, and I didn't need that to happen. His PR firm, advertising firm, they called me, and I did do this job for them, and I did meet him, and I did spend 15, 20 minutes talking to him. And it's funny in the story because every time somebody wanted to connect me to him, I had nothing to say to him. But by the time I connected with him, I did have something to say to him. And what I said to him when I had 15 minutes with him was that his book changed my life. And I was using it at FIT as part of my curriculum for people to understand that reading that book was critical to understanding the spirit of an entrepreneur.
Yeah, definitely. He's such a gift.
I just want to tell you something funny. I wrote this book. It was a 7-day challenge for my class I'm taking. And I realized that there's a series here. So the next book is going to be another 38-page book. It's going to be from wanting to having love.
Ooh.
And the next one's going to be from wanting to having cash.
Ooh, I love it.
And I want to tell you something about what you did for me, Stacy.
Okay.
So I'm going to tell you. So Stacy, you know, I started with you quite a few years ago. And one of the things you taught me was to let go of my beliefs of being little when it comes to money.
Mm.
And one of the things that was really genius that you did was that, first of all, you said to me, and I'll never forget this, because, you know, Jane, it's an investment. And at the time it was like $12,000. And you said, I promise you, by the time we're done, you will triple that investment. And I made much more than that. That's number one. Number two, what I found was through your process, which I love so much, and I still use it every day, is when I am offering my services to my clients, my authors, I realize I really do a body check, and I look at that number and I stop myself many times, because you said to me once, you have no idea what somebody has in their bank account. Because I was always of the mindset, authors don't have a lot of money. And that stopped me from growing my business. So I think about you a lot, more than you know. And that's probably why I call you.
Oh, thank
And
you.
I bug you, when are you finishing your book so I can get it out
Yes.
there?
Yes. And I
But the
think,
point is, I just think the point is that what you have taught me has been life and more business altering. You cannot assume what somebody has in their bank account, what they're willing to spend or not. You just cannot assume that. And I have taken your lessons, really seriously. And that's why, bedside reading is, a very successful business.
well, thank you. I appreciate that. And I think that was at the crux what allowed you to quadruple your rates when you were working together with me in the mastermind, is that you were like, you know what, I'm holding myself back from the fear of people saying no, from thinking they don't have money, and you were like, I'm just gonna go for it, and you
And
did, and
we did
people
this.
were
So
seeing the value.
I remember we had a call it was August. I remember the year, and you forced me to change my prices, and you did. And I think one price was like, I don't know, it was from 1,500 to 2,500 and 6,200 and whatever it was. Right after we got, and I'm thinking, are you kidding? But the minute we got off the phone, I had another call with a potential client, and he asked me my prices, and I just spewed out what I had scribbled on a piece of paper while we were talking, and I went 6,200. He goes, "Oh, I like that. We'll do that one." So I thought that was hilarious.
I remember that because you called me afterwards and you were like, I did it. I spit it out. And they were
Right,
like,
exactly.
yes. And that's
Right.
so funny because a lot of times when people give their higher rate, people just accept it so quickly that then you kind of get a little mad at yourself, like, why didn't I do that earlier?
I
But
I
you
never
just
get
weren't
mad at
ready
myself.
before.
I stopped getting mad at myself a long time ago. I've kind of let it go, and I'm kind of in the place where what I do will resonate with somebody or it won't. And I'm so loving my company, love my company, love. I love my hotels. I created this business. So talk about manifesting. I remember thinking when I moved back from LA to New York to marry this guy, or to be with this guy, which I married and very happily married. Um, I said to myself, I need to create a lifestyle that I'm bi-coastal, go back and forth. And I did. I created a big business, Madison and Mulholland, and I was on a flight, New York, LA, New York, LA. And I have to tell you, to this day, I'm still in New York, Palm Springs, New York, LA, whatever, back and forth. And I still have that lifestyle because I love travel so much. And I love staying at luxury hotels because my tush needs at least 1,500 thread count, right? And but I realized that the whole thing about manifesting is that I've done it so long, since I'm 14, not knowing I was doing it. But now in the last couple of years, really kind of time is speeding up for me, that I realize that this method, if you get into the habit of doing it, if you do it all the time, it works more and more and more and more and more. Even last night, we went into New York City. it was, in the middle of rush hour time, whatever. And of course, downtown, we got a parking spot right in front of the restaurant. I always do.
That's amazing.
I kind of take it for granted now. And, my husband says to me as we pull in, I go, there she is again, getting that parking space in New York City. So
he probably wants to bring you with you everywhere he goes.
He probably does. But I think now Rick has it too. I mean, I honestly,
you're rubbing
I've
off on
kind
him.
of, absolutely, I've kind of showed him the way, and he is using it as well. So
it's funny because you were mentioning the Madison and Mulholland. I literally have the tote bag like right in my office because I'd given it to my daughter to use for her knitting things. So
oh, that's funny. It's funny. It's my knitting things are in my Madison and Mulholland tote bag too.
It's so beautiful, and it's lasted for like
decades.
Decades.
Yeah, literally decades.
Right. And so, tell people about your bedside reading program, so that people that are on here that are thought leaders and authors can learn a little bit more about what that is.
Okay, so thank you for asking. That's a lovely thing to ask me to do. So bedside reading, we place books by the bedsides in luxury hotels. Here's why. You want your book by the bedside of a CEO or a C-suite person or somebody who is in a book club or somebody who is a thought leader, because these people are staying in these $1,200 night hotels. Sometimes it's a lot less because we have boutique hotels, whatever. But people that are traveling are readers. We know this. And people that read, you want to get your book in their hands. Why? Word of mouth is the best promotion. You may want them to hire you to be a keynote speaker or to have create a course for their employees or for whatever reason. And then we layer. So my company it's a system. It's a 15-layered system of placing books in hotels, placing books in the media, placing books. We do author spotlights. We do social media. We do earned media. We do book events. And we do giveaways. So, and now I'm actually working on a program to help authors increase their subscriber list.
That is key. So key.
So, so if you have a funnel and you want people to log in, you want more people, that's something that we can do as well. So it's lots of layers for the author. And, we keep there's one low level at $2,500, and we go as high as, I think it's $16,790. And it depends upon how long you want to work with me. So that's what we do. And we try to make it affordable, but really impactful. But what I know is that doing book marketing is a full-time job. 50% of being an author is writing the book. 50% is marketing it. So I feel the feelings of an author. My book is now on Amazon, and I'm going, holy crap, this is like what an author feels. Who's going to buy it today? How am I going to get it out there? What am I going to do? So I'm actually using my formula and my system to market my book. And that's why I'm a #1 best-selling Amazon author as the moment I published, because I knew what to do. Most people don't know what to do. And if you know what to do and you follow what I tell you to do, and we do half the job, we're a slice of the marketing pie. We're not the whole pie, but we can make a book a bestseller. We can make get a book out there into magazines, into the universe, in the Hamptons, which is where all the shishi people go during the summer. We have our last Hampton event for this year is the Film Festival week. We're not affiliated with the Hamptons Film Festival, but our hotels are housing many of those people going to the film festivals. And I have a number of friends who are film producers who will be there. And I'm actually creating little special VIP bags for them. So when they arrive,
that's amazing.
They get the bags of books. In fact, I actually was just thinking about it. I'm probably just going to ship it to their house so they can get
it. And I love what you said about like the people that are traveling, they're staying in these upscale hotels. They're influencers, not as an influencer on Instagram, like the young
girls. But wait a second, they may be travel influencers, right? They may be.
But what I'm saying is they're an influencer in their industry. So like if somebody's a CEO, like for example, my dad years ago, he would go into a bookstore and he would buy 50 books. But if he found a book that he liked, he would just like clear them out, or he'd say like, hey, I need to order this for my whole team. And so that's the kind of people that you want to be in front of, that are buying them, recommending them, making mass, big
Yeah.
purchases, and then also hiring you for the back end as a thought leader to do other things with their companies. So where can people find your book and your company, you connect with you? I love the value that you bring, because the thing you don't know about Jane just from being here today is that her heart is in it. So like marketing, like it's none of this marketing bro crap that just
Right.
right. She has the heart for her authors, and she's always over delivering for them. She cares about them, and she's going to give you really like great advice that has you and your best interests in mind. So tell people where they can find you.
So thank you for saying that. So bedsidereading.com, or just go on Amazon and look me up, Jane U. Bellmeyer, or From Wanting to Having It it's right there. But stay tuned for From Wanting to Having Cash, From Wanting to Having Love, From Wanting to Having an Extraordinary Life as an Entrepreneur. That's going to be another one I'm going to do, because I
love
think
it.
that entrepreneurs need this. And I'm going to have lots of little stories in there about my life as an entrepreneur, that crazy stories that you cannot believe. And I realize this stuff keeps happening.
Yeah, and I think that's interesting, because I think the book, and I'm going to show you the cover again so that you guys can see it.
Okay, hold on.
Is the
There it
physical.
is.
I have it on my iPad. But the thing is that you actually shared real stories of things that happen. And a lot of times these stories seem so like out there that people are like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it can happen that easily. And so I love that you're sharing it. And I love the fact that it's a bite-sized book, because a lot of people don't read books till the end, right? Or they get stuck. And this is like, okay,
it's 38 pages or something crazy, right?
And just go grab it on Amazon, and I will link all the stuff as well. Thank you so much for coming.
Stacy, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I always love being around you and hanging out with you.
Awesome. Well, make it a great day, everybody. Remember, don't just learn, implement.